Hey, guys, Maximillionaire, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, well, I've got some big news, some information that I wanted to break. I've been working on this for the last couple of weeks, but I've not been able to get confirmation yet from a second source. I've got one source, but I haven't been able to confirm with a second source. But with what's happened here in the recent couple of days, I felt I needed to come forward with this because this could have some uh, big ramifications. I mean, some crazy possibilities could come up. So let me jump right into it. Um, the report that I've got from somebody who is in a position to have knowledge about this information that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, uh, when they treated her cancer back in July, um, that was the last chemo. They said, basically, if this doesn't work, we can't do this again. It's done. All right. So basically, they did not cure it. From according to the sources, she's still got the pancreatic cancer, and so um, the the biggest thing is, besides the fact that she's got it and she's undergoing treatment now, is that she has reportedly, from this knowledge from this person, uh, that she has ordered her family to keep her body on life support until after Donald Trump is out of the presidency. Okay, and we'll get to some more ramifications on that in just a minute here. If this is true, like I said, I've not gotten a second source to corroborate. I can't verify that this is fact, but this is what I'm hearing from a source that is in a position to know this. So um, the thing is, when they reported her, if you guys know what's going on with this, Ruth Bader Ginsburg basically was sick and didn't show up to the Supreme Court this last Wednesday. Okay, she they said that she had like the stomach flu. Okay, is what the was reported out of the Supreme Court Public Relations Office or whatever. Um, and then now Friday night she went in the hospital, but the hospital that she went into was the um, Sibley Memorial Hospital there in Washington D.C. And the reason why she went there is because that's their specialty is oncology of cancer. Okay, that's basically what oncology is. Their other specialty is surgery, so they could do surgery if surgery was needed for cancer, if something needed to be removed or something. Well, now the media is reporting this, but they're not reporting the significance of this. She got checked out there at that hospital, but then they transferred her to Johns Hopkins Hospital for treatment. Now, why is that significant? Okay, because the other thing to notice is that Sibley Memorial Hospital, they're a working hospital, they're a regular hospital, they're also a Johns Hopkins hospital. So you should be getting the same treatment at Sibley Memorial that you would be getting at Johns Hopkins. But what is Johns Hopkins? Johns Hopkins is a teaching hospital. You know what else you get to do in teaching hospitals? You get to do uh, medical experimentation when you're doing getting things approved like cancer treatments and things like that. And right now they've got this special breakthrough with CRISPR using the gene editor to edit these T cells in your body. They take them out of your body. They edit the gene cells to program to kill the particular type of cancer that you've got. And then they inject the T cells back into your body and let those T cells go attack just the cancer cells. Okay. So this is something that we know, it's been in the news for the last year now, that they're doing this and that they believe this same treatment can be used for multiple different types of cancer. Okay. So they're doing these things at Johns Hopkins. So Why would you transfer somebody from the one hospital to the other? Well, at Cedar or at Sibley Memorial, they're a practicing hospital, so they um, they can only do things that are already FDA approved. At Johns Hopkins, they're experimental. They're already conducting these studies. So you only do this kind of T cell stuff um, when you're in the final stages of cancer, when surgery and chemotherapy no longer work. Okay, so this is the evidence that um, that she is still has the cancer and that she's in the final stages. Because obviously the chemo didn't work from July. And if you look up pancreatic cancer, it's very quick. I think the death rate is like 90% within 18 months or something. And she's had this a couple times now. She had it back in the 90s, and then reoccurred here recently, and also back in 2008, I want to say. So anyway, I was speaking about this to another gentleman, Kyle Stone here, and so I wanted to bring him in on the discussion because we wanted to talk about some of the different aspects of this and how this could affect the Constitution, and if if this is true, uh, then can she do this? Can you, can't you get taken off the Supreme Court? Things like that. Are you there, Kyle?
I am. Hello, everybody.
Hi. So I was just talking about the fact that they've transferred uh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg from the hospital in Washington D.C. to Johns Hopkins up in Baltimore, which uh, is over an hour's drive. It's not a close little hospital unless she went by, I don't know, helicopter or ambulance or whatever with their lights on. Maybe they could have got there quicker. But um, so as far as the ramifications, if Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies from this cancer and they keep her body alive, then as long as she's alive, she can't be removed from office, and Donald Trump can't pick her replacement.
Well, so how's that legal, Max?
Well, because there's no law against it. There's no constitutional thing that says that if they're incapacitated, that they could be removed from office. So basically, as long as they're alive, even if they're incapacitated, like there was a there was a history here where we had a Supreme Court justice that was got so old that they got Alzheimer's and were not really able to function on the court, and they couldn't get rid of him. And what they had to do was they had to agree amongst the justices that they would not take up any case that would result in a split where this guy would be the deciding vote. And they all agreed to that because there was nothing they could do. So constitutionally, the only way you can remove a Supreme Court justice is to impeach him or her. And of course, that's not grounds for impeachment that their body's being kept artificially alive. So
So,
as long as they keep her body artificially alive, they can keep Donald Trump from picking her replacement.
so, so you're saying that it would take a act of Congress and the Senate to basically either remove her from her bench a position, or to basically create another a position on the court.
Well, no, even Congress cannot act to remove her from the bench. Okay, uh, it would actually take a constitutional amendment. See, this happened with the presidency. Back when I don't remember who it was shot. We didn't used to have the transference of the
JFK.
maybe it was JFK. I can't remember if it was him or before, but it resulted in an amendment about the succession of the presidency. So,
Yeah.
at one time there wasn't the secession, not the same kind of that we have set up now, where you go president, vice president, and then Speaker of the House is third in line.
House, and then, yeah.
Right. So, like if Donald Trump and Mike Pence were both assassinated tomorrow, Nancy Pelosi would be the president of the United States. So,
And then. So then, if she were to die, then it would be Mitch McConnell, right?
is he the president pro tempore of the Senate? It's whoever. The fourth in line is the president pro tempore of the Senate, which is basically the senator who's the longest serving in the Senate. I'm not sure who that is right now.
That's a gentleman, I believe, from Louisiana, who's been there for, I don't know, 30 or 40 fucking years. The guy just won't die.
Right. Well, yeah, that's fourth in line. But so there is no succession for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is an entirely separate branch of government. So they have their own rules, which is like very little. When our founding fathers set up the Constitution, they made all sorts of rules for the legislative branch and for the executive branch. They made very few rules for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, doesn't even have a set amount of members. It hasn't always been 9. It's changed.
So I have a question, Max. So does Congress and the Senate, do they have the power through their capacity to create more positions on the Supreme Court?
They could. I believe Congress does have the power to add more positions if that was signed by the president. There was a president that attempted to do this, tried to expand the number from 9, but our number hasn't always been 9. I believe it started out as 3. So it's gone. It's gone up and down, actually. It's changed to 5 and 7 and 9 and.
So in theory, then Congress and the Senate could circumvent her from grave protests, and basically she can still be there, but yet just create more positions. So her position doesn't matter at that point.
Right, but see, here's the thing too. You'd never be able to do it. The Democrats would scream bloody murder.
Maybe
they would do. They would have a filibuster in the Senate.
Well, maybe
they would never allow it. But this is what they plan on doing.
I think you get to a certain point where taking out a president, that's one thing, but you start screwing around upon the United States Supreme Court, and you got to have a functioning, a body, because you have a justice, or you have 2 justices, or you have 3 or 4 or 5 who are like, well, I'm sick, or I'm just not going to do my job. Well, then there needs to be some fail-safe for that, so that cannot happen. So
but there isn't. You would have to add it. You'd have to add it to the United States Constitution. You'd have to make an amendment, because there is no method. There have been justices that have been off their rocker, crazy,
I understand. So
cuckoo, and there was nothing anybody could do about it. Nothing.
Right. So my point of it is maybe this is going to be something big enough. If she does keep her body on life support, that will start this conversation to actually put a fail-safe in so this shit can't happen in the future.
Well, I don't know what kind of fail-safe you would put. I mean,
so for example, there needs to be so basically Congress, don't they control the rules for the United States Supreme Court? Can't they create guidelines for them to follow rules?
No, they're a separate but equal branch of the government.
So
There's
you're
only
saying
certain
the
things
United
they
States
can and
Supreme
can't
Court,
do.
but so you're saying that Congress can't put some training wheels on the things that they can't do?
I don't think so.
I would suspect, just me just using logic and the greatness that I am, it would seem to me that if the United States Supreme Court is on some Tom Screwery situation, and they're like, well, we're just not going to do our job, or something that would negatively just totally gum up the United States justice system. I would suspect that Congress, after so long, that they would get tired of that nonsense and step in and try to do something to.
Okay, but all right, all of that would take time too. So I mean, let's to the nitty gritty.
Of course,
What could you do now? I mean, what remedy if she actually ordered to do this? What remedy is there? There's nothing that I know of. I mean, basically that's game set match. If she wants to keep her body alive until after the 2020 election, boy, wouldn't that be an election issue? Oh, here it's announced to everybody that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is basically dead. Her body's being kept on life support until after the 2020 election. So not only are you voting for president, but you're voting for the Supreme Court as well.
Well, see, here's the deal. So you've told me that I couldn't do this, the White House can't do this, but I disagree with you on this and many things, because you have your views, I have mine. But if I am the White House, I would file an injunction on the basis that she is basically prohibiting, she's gumming up the works, she is prohibiting the President of the United States from doing his duties.
Oh, I see. So wait a minute. You're going to go to court, assumably the Supreme Court, to ask them to rule that one of their own needs to be tossed off the bench.
Stop. First of all, first things first, okay? So like the Democrats do this all the time. They go to, they find some judge who they know is going to be sympathetic to their cause, okay? So in theory, if this became an issue, you could...
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out if this is going to become an issue.
So you could quash her from grave protest, for long enough so that you could replace her. Now, then, I don't know then if that could be appealed somehow, because, this is all new territory. All of this has never been thought of, never been done before, because why should it be? But now she's giving us cause to actually, think about these things. So, I know one thing, that if she's actually going to do this, it'll be a frickin' circus. That's what I do know.
Well, okay. I do know one thing. Okay, say she does die, okay, and they don't keep her on life support. Okay, let's just surmise that for a minute. First of all, is this then fair game for Donald Trump to name a replacement, or does this fall under what the Republicans said before for Merrick Garland, that it's an election year, so you should wait till the election and let let the voters decide? Because is it an election year yet? Because it's 2019. Does it count that we're less than 12 months, or does it after January 1st? If she holds on to January 1st, then...
So that's not... Okay, so... So the whole process to confirm a United States Supreme Court justice, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that goes through Congress and then has to be confirmed by the Senate, correct?
No. It's nominated by the president, and confirmed by the Senate only. It doesn't go through the House of Representatives at all.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what you're speaking of, that was done by the Republicans because I believe they controlled the Senate at the time.
Correct.
And they basically said, Obama, well, here's double middle fingers. You're not going to get to actually choose your justice because we're not going to allow you to do it. Okay? So I would say because the Republicans still control the Senate, they could hurry up and pass it right through.
As a matter of fact, Mitch McConnell said he's going to confirm any justice, basically, that Trump nominates.
That's what I am thinking.
You know, he said they've already asked him this question, and he's already said they're going to confirm. So, you know, of course, you'll hear the liberals scream bloody murder. There'll be huge stories about how the Republicans are hypocrites. Oh, you mean they played politics and they won? Okay.
Well, see,
I see both sides do it.
Well, but see, I've gotten into this argument. So I represent myself in legal matters, okay? And so this argument has been made against me by prosecutors. Well, you can't make that legal argument here, but you made something else over there. And my response is, well, legal arguments and legal wrangling is a very fluid situation. So you may have an argument over here that applies to this, but then doesn't apply over here. So it's not all one thing, okay? So
right. Well, and that's exactly why I'm saying that if Trump tried to bring something in court about, she's dead, she's not actually alive, so therefore I have the right to make a pick, because that would be the argument that I would see them making. Is, you're just keeping her body alive. She's not really alive. She's dead. So you'd be in essence trying to compel the court to declare her dead. That's what you'd be.
I don't think you necessarily have to do that. You could say she's obstructing justice at that point.
Well,
she is gumming up the work so that I can't do my job.
Right, except for a Supreme Court justice is allowed to gum up the work. See, you can't sue them for that. That's not proper grounds. That's not proper grounds for a lawsuit. Sorry. The Supreme Court, they've got total independence. They're elected. They're appointed for life.
I understand. So here's so I brought that up solely as a emergency situation. So, for example, let's say she does this, okay? And you're roaming around to about 2020, okay? So let's say that President Trump is like, I don't know if I'm going to win this re-election, okay? So immediately the White House should go to some sympathetic district judge, immediately get a stay, and then at that point, then she's not in play. So then I would think.
Yeah, that would never work. You're again, that would go all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, you're asking them again. Now, okay, let's go back to this though. Okay, let's reiterate. First of all, do you think the evidence is there that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that her chemotherapy in July was not 100% successful, that they were not able to eradicate or put her in remission, and they basically said, okay, that's it. We're not going to be able to do any more chemo.
Well, I don't know how in the Holy Earth I would answer such a question, but by the words that they use, definitive. So definitive means that it's been concluded. So the Supreme Court came out, I believe, and they said that her treatment has been definitive. So that means it's concluded, not successful.
Correct. It doesn't necessarily mean successful. Now, let's also point out, this is also important. Usually when you have medical reports, you have the doctors come out and make the reports, right? And
they have not been anywhere near this.
Right. No. The doctors did not make any of these statements. They have made no statements on Ruth Bader Ginsburg. All of the statements have been made through the Supreme Court. The court is making the announcements, not the doctor. So as far as the court knows, the court only knows what Ruth Bader Ginsburg tells them. So if Ruth Bader Ginsburg tells them it's definitive, well, then they report that it's definitive. If she reports to the court that, oh, I've got the stomach flu, not that I'm dealing in the final stages of cancer, but that I've got the stomach flu, well, they don't know any better, so they're going to report she's got the stomach flu. So the idea is that she might be, first of all, trying to hide this because she knows what kind of uproar could this create. I mean, this could even have an effect on the impeachment? Maybe some people would see this as an opportunity that if you could absolutely get the impeachment, then the next person gets the pick. I don't know. I'm not sure what, but the fact that she went from an oncology specialist hospital to a teaching hospital, Johns Hopkins, where they could do experimental treatments for her cancer, I think that's evidence that she is now receiving this specialized experimental treatment, and that means she's in the final stages.
Well, yeah, I don't believe you can get away with using the words evidence, but it's strong circumstantial, supportive facts.
Well, okay, let's go through this. Can you think of any other logical reason that she would be transferred from a Johns Hopkins hospital of Sibley Memorial to another Johns Hopkins hospital that's the teaching hospital?
Right, but you can say, that'd be reasonable, but I don't believe you can use the word that's evidence. It's just supportive facts. It's not like evidence. So those are strong words you need to be careful of.
Well, I mean, this news could be taken different ways depending on what side of the aisle you sit. I mean, for Ruth Bader Ginsburg supporters, you want to see her get replaced by a Democrat president. Okay, you want to see her get replaced with somebody like her. Okay, to try to maintain the balance of the Supreme Court.
Somebody who could choose her successor and not get replaced by the president.
Well, I mean, certainly you'd want somebody like her to replace.
Misspoke, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're on the Republican side, then you would want her to get replaced with a conservative justice, and then that would tip the balance of the Supreme Court so that not even Justice Roberts has the swing vote. Because right now, Justice Roberts has the swing vote, and he has gone both ways. So if another conservative was to come on, then John Roberts' vote wouldn't matter. The 5 justices could band together in any decision, and they could decide whatever they wanted.
Something else to ponder. It is so basically to confirm a new justice that has to be nominated by the president, right?
Yes, the president nominates the Supreme Court justice.
Well, so does it have to be? So it's hard and fast that has to be the first step.
Well, yes, that it has to be. The Constitution gives the power of selecting the Supreme Court justices to the president. That's the power. The power of the Senate is to confirm that nominee.
Right, but is there any way to work around that?
No.
Let's say
no. It's the Constitution, dude. It's the Constitution. It's set.
Well, in St. Joseph County, the Constitution doesn't exist. They modify it.
Yeah, well, okay. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything. I think we've covered all the bases. We're just going to have to wait at this point, and we're going to have to see what happens and see if this story turns out to be true. If she is in the later stages of pancreatic cancer that cannot be treated by chemotherapy or surgery, then if this surgery or if this experimental treatment does not work, then she likely has a number of weeks, maybe months to live. if it works, then who knows? It might completely eradicate the cancer from her body, and it's a miracle new treatment. I mean, we've seen some very high success rates from this T cell treatment stuff. So, you know, I think we're going to hear about this. I think we're going to find out more in the coming weeks. Everybody's going to be watching now to see if she misses any more time. Um, anyway, thank you all for joining me, and I will talk to you guys again soon.